Okay, so let's get right into it. We usually think of computers, of AIs, as being super logical, black and white, ones and zeros. But what if we could teach an AI to think a little more like a person, to hold a few different ideas in its head at the same time? Well, that's what we're talking about today, a totally new way of thinking for AI. And really, this is the question that's driving everything. I mean, instead of forcing an AI to make a snap judgment at every single step of a problem, what if we just let it be a little uncertain? Let it explore a few different paths at once. It's this huge shift from a machine that just gives you an answer to one that actually seems to, well, to think.
This right here shows you the difference perfectly. So on the left, that's the old way. An AI has to make a choice. Alex is Charles's brother. Boom. Decision made, it picks one word and moves on. But on the right, with this new approach, the AI can hold a mixture of thoughts. It can think about is and maybe and even could be, all at the exact same time, before it has to make that final call.
Now, to really appreciate just how big a deal this is, we first have to talk about the problem it's trying to solve. You could call it the one-track mind problem. Here's the thing you have to understand. A typical AI builds its reasoning one word or token at a time. And once it puts a word down, that's it. It's locked in. It can't go back and change its mind. So if it makes one tiny little mistake way back at the beginning, that mistake just snowballs and can send the whole thing down a completely wrong path, and there's no way to recover. So how do we fix that? Well, this new technique, called mixture of tokens generation, is all about giving the AI a much more flexible way to think.
First, just a really quick definition. When we say token, all you need to do is think of a word, or even just a piece of a word. They're like the Lego bricks that an AI uses to build sentences and ideas. The old way only let the AI pick one single brick at a time.
This new mixture method is basically a two-step process. First, instead of picking just one word to go next, the AI looks at a whole handful of the most likely options. And then, and this is the really cool part, it doesn't pick one. It actually blends the core ideas, the sort of numerical fingerprints of all those words, into one fuzzy, averaged-out concept. It's kind of like being able to think father and son at the exact same time. So, the big question is, does this actually work better? Well, to find out, the researchers put these AI models through a pretty brutal series of tests. You could think of it as a reasoning gauntlet. They used this benchmark called the reasoning gym, and honestly, the best way to think about it is like an obstacle course for an AI's brain. It's just full of all these tricky puzzles in logic, math, and cognition that are designed to push these models to their absolute breaking point. And check this out. This is one of the results from those tests. On a really tough calculus task, the standard AI got it right only 44% of the time. The mixture method, a whopping 74%. That is a 30 percentage point leap in performance. That's not just a little better, that's a massive improvement, just from letting the AI think more flexibly. Okay, that's a huge improvement, for sure. But it's also fair to ask, does this new mixture thing work for everything? Is it some kind of silver bullet for all AI reasoning? And the answer, pretty clearly, is no. On certain kinds of problems, like predicting the next number in a sequence, the old, more rigid method actually did better. The thinking here is that for problems that need absolute, laser-focused precision, holding onto that uncertainty can actually be a disadvantage. So it shows this is a really powerful new tool, but it's not a one-size-fits-all replacement. But here is another result that is an absolute game changer. This new method is incredibly efficient. To get to the same level of performance, the mixture model needed half the amount of training. It learns better and it learns faster. Now think about the real-world implications of that. We're talking less energy used in data centers, a lower cost to develop really capable AIs. This could open the door for smaller companies and researchers to innovate, which would be huge. So why? What is going on inside the AI's brain that makes this mixture method work so well? Let's take a quick look under the hood. This is probably the best way to picture it. The old standard method is like a laser beam. It's super focused, following one path with extreme precision. The new mixture method is more like a floodlight. It lights up a wider area, illuminating multiple paths at the same time. And by keeping more possibilities active in its working memory, it's just much less likely to get stuck going the wrong way. Let's make this real.
So, in one of the puzzles about family relationships, the model had to figure out how two people were related. Now, instead of just guessing father and maybe being wrong, the mixture model was able to hold on to both father and son as real possibilities. It could weigh them against each other as it got more info and then finally settle on the correct answer.
All right, so we've seen the problem, the really clever solution, and some pretty incredible results. Let's wrap this up and look at the bigger picture here. What does this actually mean for the future of AI?
So, if you're going to remember three things, make it these. First, letting an AI mix its thoughts is a huge boost for its reasoning ability on a lot of complex problems. Second, it's way more efficient. You get top-tier results with basically half the work. And finally, as powerful as it is, it's a new tool in the toolbox, not a magic wand that fixes everything.
And that kind of leaves us with this final thought. We are right at the beginning of teaching our machines to think in shades of gray, to handle ambiguity, to reason with real nuance. So if this is what we can do today, just try to imagine the kinds of complicated, messy, real-world problems in science, in medicine, anywhere, that an AI that embraces uncertainty might be able to solve for us tomorrow.